We're going to select hot lap from the first set of menus here. Don't really need to change any of the information here. You could probably make it a little bit later in the day just to adjust the base temperature as well as the angle of the sun. We're going to go to Monza, which is one of the easier tracks to start with, and we're going to choose the Lexus. Once again, one of the easier GT3 cars to start with. Once we finish there, we don't really need to change any of the weather or track conditions. We can go straight into start session. Okay, once the session's loaded, we're going to go across to options, into our controls, and we're going to change the steering lock specific to the actual car that we're using. This step isn't necessary, but it can help, I guess, the way that you steer the vehicle, and will give it a bit more realism for that particular car. We're just going to select the standard aggressive setup, nothing more to change, as this is just a base level which we plan to work on once we get more experience on the lap. Okay, with a hot lap you start outside of pit lane. It'll give you enough of a run up so you get a good lap for your first lap out, so no need to do an out lap. Okay, so here we are on the home straight. We're going to be approaching the first chicane, which requires some heavy braking. We're going to be looking for the 150 board. There's 300, 250, and here's 150. We're hard on the brakes, braking in a very straight line, and then you can slowly start to turn towards the apex. Controlling the car, you're going to take as much of the curb as you can without the sausage curb, and same again on the left and the exit, and then back on the throttle as soon as the car sort of balances out. You can see our traction control for standard aggressive is at 3, so you know we're pretty safe with giving it a lot of gas early on in the actual corner or exit. Okay, coming up to the next corner, again we're looking at the braking boards here, roughly around 150. You could probably do it a little bit later. Again, hard on the brakes, straight line, ease up on the brakes as you turn in, and then coast into the first apex, taking up as much curb as you can, and then again on the exit, back on the throttle, hard, using as much curb as you can on the left, approaching to the next corner, past the 100 board, and then probably about halfway between 100 board and the first part of the corner you see you're braking again, quick stab on the brakes to drop a gear, and then you're coming back around using the full exit, again early on the throttle. Shouldn't get any oversteer with your standard aggressive setup. Okay, coming into the second part of the corner here, again short stab of the brakes, dropping a gear, careful of the entry curve there. You don't want to take too much of it as it'll knock the corner, knock the car up a bit, taking as much curve as you can on the left, and hard on the throttle again. Coming down to the next chicane, again flat out, moved over to the right. We're looking for the overpass here, and you're braking again hard, straight line, dropping it down to third, maybe even second depending on the setup, coasting across the first curb there, and then realigning. I've got a little bit of oversteer there which I quickly corrected, touching the curb on the inside, and then making sure you can get back on that throttle nice and early to push it out. You can use more of the curb on the exit there as well on the right hand side. Again, flat out for the back straight here. Moving down here, you're looking for the gap between the overpass there, probably about 75 metre mark. Again, braking hard but angling towards the apex to start with, down to third, and then we sort of let it start pushing out as we're back on the throttle, using as much track as we can, being careful of the green AstroTurf on the left. It can get slippery, and then once you've regained control of the car, then you can push out through to the start finish line. Now we're just going to run through a full pace so you can see what it would look like with the recommended view. So looking for 150, hard on the brakes, turning in, clip the gutter, the curb, and then clip the next curb, hard on the throttle, making sure we don't steer too hard whilst we're on the throttle. Flat out around this bend. Again, you can take it out a little bit wider as long as you bring it back inside, ready for the next approach. Okay, about 150 or so, hard on the brakes, nice and straight, coast up to the first curb and then onto the second, using the curb on the exit, hard on the throttle. Quick stab of the brakes here, drop a gear, coast, and then back onto the throttle once we've collected the apex. Stab of the brakes, coast, apex throttle, flat out along this back straight. Okay, so the next brake marker we're looking for is the overpass sign. Hard on the brakes, nice straight line. Start your turn in, coasting, cross the curb, click the curb on the inside, hard on the throttle for the exit. Flat out all the way down to, you'll see the overhanging sign on the left hand side. Just past that, probably around 75 metres. There it is there, hard on the brakes, drop a gear, coast until we've got control of the car, and then after we've hit the apex, hard on the throttle as we push it out wide and then come back on the inside. Okay, the final view we're going to do is an overhead, just so you can get an appreciation of the actual line taken. Again, you can pay attention to the actual inputs on the right hand side. You can see hard on the brake there, easing off slight trail braking, just so that you can get the rotation of the car, and then hard on the throttle as soon as you can. Nice and smooth. You can rev out fifth quite a lot in these cars. Coasting and then a little bit of a throttle, full throttle. Stab of the brakes, drop a gear, coast, a little bit of throttle, full throttle. Stab, coast, half throttle, full throttle, flat out, down the straight. Okay, looking for our overpass, the overpass sign, not the bridge. Hard on the brakes for this one, dropping the gears, take as much curb as you can there on the left, kiss on the right, flat out, round the left. Okay, again looking for our second overhanging sign. Brake hard, down to third, coast a bit, then half throttle, 75, 100% as we swing out right, and then start working through the gears. And that is a very basic baseline lap guide to Monza for beginners.